I'm Erin O'Byrne and welcome to Everything EFL podcast. I'm passionate about serving teachers and I offer training for schools and institutions whose language teachers need a little refresher, a change of mindset and some super practical ideas to put into their classrooms straight away. There is no one-size-fits-all lesson plan, but you've got a friend and support system in me. I can help reduce your overwhelm, give you some teacher inspiration, and improve your work-life balance. How? With some solid advice, takeaways you can try out immediately, and some much-needed teacher love, because your well-being is important too. Are you ready to make small changes one step at a time and remember how amazing you are? Let's go! Hello, you gorgeous teacher. If you're one of my lovely regular listeners, welcome back. If you're brand new to Everything EFL podcast, you are most welcome and I hope you stick around. Boy, you've chosen an episode to start with. So this is going to be a bit of a rant, which isn't usually my style. You may recognise your own behaviour or habits here. This episode, though, it's not about making you feel bad. It's more about my frustration because there are certain things that I just think teachers shouldn't be doing, especially ones with experience. And at a certain point in their career, I don't understand why they're doing it. And to be honest, there's not really much excuse for it. So I do apologise in advance if I offend anyone. It's not my intention. But if you know me but at all, you know that I do not sugarcoat. I'm direct and I will always tell you the truth. But it's to help you. It's not to make you feel bad. But again, if you know me, I think you already know that. These are all things that I think are just basic common sense. All right, let's dive in. Here's number one. When teachers are obsessed with getting their students talking. So after a presentation and usually a gap fill, you know how I feel about those, do you really expect your students to be able to just use the language confidently and independently? Why? I mean, look, your gap fill, okay, even if your presentation was amazing and they all nodded and they answered your questions, that's great, okay? The first step of the learning process is there. Then your gap fill, I imagine, might consist of, say, 10 sentences that have no relation to each other, not really much context. You're probably just asking them to put the correct form of the verb in the gap. Sound familiar? And then you get them to produce, something fairly prescribed. You kind of know exactly what you want them and they're going to produce. And it's usually an isolated utterance of the target language. You can tick that box. Brilliant, they understand it, they've done it, they can do it. And then the next day you do a review activity and they're like, Look, I'm not an expert on the brain, but I know it takes more than that for students to learn, okay? Teaching them something and students learning are two very different things. And I think that you need to understand that. They need review, they need repetition. And I saw an interview with Hugh Della on a podcast and he made such a good point. He said when he was living in Indonesia, he had lots of chats with taxi drivers and they asked him, what do you do? Blah, 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 why are you here? And because he had the same conversation again and again, he became fluent in those sort of pieces of language very, very quickly. So, I know we don't have a lot of time for this kind of thing in our class, especially if you're in a secondary school, you have maybe 2 45-minute lessons a week, but you have to find time to review in a certain way. You have to. And you have to build on the foundation before you progress. You can't just go, right, we've done that, let's move on and never look at that again. Your students will never learn. I actually heard a teacher say once, but we did this 2 weeks ago. Why doesn't he remember? And I'm like, where's the process? Did you revisit it? Has he seen another example of it since then? And if the answer's no, then again, what do you expect? Secondly, expecting students to talk. Now, if I'm a student in your class and I'm not feeling confident and I don't trust you, I'm not going to talk. I don't care if you spent 2 hours planning this amazing lesson. My self-esteem is on the floor. Or maybe I'm embarrassed to talk in front of my peers. Or maybe I've had a really shitty experience learning this language with other teachers. So my trust in you is inherently non-existent. You haven't made me feel comfortable. You haven't earned my trust. I'm not motivated. Why should I talk? End of story. Moving swiftly on to number 3. Putting vocabulary on the board in a single word. Or, if you're looking at single words in a vocabulary list in your book, not creating at least a collocation around it or something like that. So students actually see the language used in conjunction with at least one other word to form a phrase. I remember once I looked in on somebody's classroom And there was this massive list of single words. I can't remember whether they were nouns or adjectives, but there must have been at least 10 or 15 of these words. It was just word, comma, word, comma, word, comma. No context. I think they were all connected with a specific topic or something like that. But some of the words I'd never even seen before in my life. And, my English is pretty good. Now, if I've never heard of the words, what the fuck are you doing giving them to a B1 class? And there's not even any context there. There's not any sort of, let's say they were nouns. There's no adjective with them. There's no verb with them. No, ridiculous. The very least you should be doing is a collocation or opening it into a very small phrase. Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. Writing examples of something on the board with no contractions. Really? I don't understand this because, come on, this is not how we speak. How do you not realise or notice or understand that we speak in contractions? And why are you not teaching students how to speak? Do you know what? This is a little side note. I saw a horrible response to a post on Facebook. Someone, I think it was a teacher, was asking a very basic question about the kind of language that you teach your students, and they were saying about sort of casual language, right? And then this other teacher hopped on and told them that they were an idiot for using certain words or wanting to use certain words, like using casual everyday language was some kind of terrible crime against students. And this teacher who decided to comment was convinced you should teach proper English. I don't even know what proper English is because I don't speak it. I didn't have the energy to respond, but I mean, that proper English is not what we speak, so why on earth are you teaching it? Now, I'm pretty sure this rude teacher, didn't represent the likes of me or you or any average person who has an average conversation, but, any kind of thing that you're teaching, maybe bar sort of academic exams or essays, it should be conversation driven. And last but not least, if you're a teacher who, for just whatever reason, flicks open the course book and does nothing but the course book, this is going to be tough to hear. This is where I might lose some of you. Okay, so so there are two kinds of teachers. Teachers who stick to the course book because they're a little bit that's their safety net. But there are other teachers who walk in 5-10 minutes before the class, flip open the course book and go, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm talking to you first. Now, I know I just told you last week that I spent 5 minutes planning. However, everything I did was beneficial to my students, and there was a lot of student output, and we're going to use that for review. Everything had a purpose, rather than just feeding them stuff from the course book or a worksheet. Now, I understand if you're pushed for time. I understand that some of you are pushed for time. I get that. But if you find yourself just using the course book, this is where you need to think. How can I change this? How can I use the students more to make my lessons more spontaneous and interesting and engaging? How can I exploit and adapt what's in the course book, obviously without too much other planning? It's just so important. Course books, they're very one size fits all. And as you know, that's not how language works. That's not how our students work. Everybody's different. No, you're never going to please everyone all the time. I get that. But if you're just using the course book, your students are going to get bored and disengaged pretty easily. Now, I can show you ways to plan less, still generate a really interesting lesson. Can you imagine, even if you commit just one day a week to just doing something a little bit more off the cuff, right? Just shutting the course book and doing other things. I think this will transform your teaching. It will transform your self-confidence. It will transform your classes. Imagine it's a Friday lesson, right? And you're shutting the course book, and your students know every Friday, or, whatever the last lesson of the week is, we're going to do something different. It's a little bit more exciting. Now, I have a course coming up. I can show you in my no-nonsense lexical toolkit course. It's a 4-week course starting on the 10th of June. We're focusing on the lexical approach, but it really will cut down how you teach. The link to join the waiting list is in the show notes. The doors will open to the course very soon, but the waiting list is the only way you will get the discount. Even if you're in my newsletter, you will have to join the waiting list. If you have any questions, contact me on social media. All the links for everything is in the show notes. Also, guys, if you don't have a look at my Instagram stories, have a look. I generally post some terrible board work every day and just sort of explain what I've been doing in class. It's a great way to engage with me as well. Even if you just give me a thumbs up or comment on how bad my board work is, I don't mind. I know it's terrible. But yeah, engage. And, Instagram's a great way to do that. I'm always happy to respond. So I'll leave it there, guys. Something to think about. Like, again, I hope I haven't offended you, but I urge you, if you recognize your habits in this episode, think about how to change it. And also contact me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm here to help. This is the reason for this episode. I'm here to help you. So if you are having some issues, drop me a line. Let's have a chat. So as always, take care of yourself. Have a safe and peaceful week and share the love. Bye.